Hello and welcome. My name's Sissy and I'm Timothy's widow. The title for today's topic may seem a little odd, so if you're new to my channel, let me try to explain. Dealing with long and lonely nights, especially in the beginning of the grief journey, can be extremely challenging for any grieving spouse. And the weekends, oh my gosh, I can't even describe it other than that they are a hellish nightmare. If you haven't lost your loved one, think of it like this. You're feeling disoriented, fragmented, and lost in the nightmare that you've suddenly found yourself living in. The loss is like being tortured with your past and presented with a very uncertain future that makes no sense. You've lost your sense of direction and connection with the rest of the world. Sleeping and eating patterns become non-existent or totally screwed up. For many grieving spouses, the distraction of turning the TV on and leaving it on all night long or all weekend long can become standard practice. You might find yourself turning, or perhaps returning is the better word. Well, you find yourself submerged in watching old favorites over and over and over. Your choices might be shows that you watched as a youngster, usually from your favorite genre, and usually episodes that you've watched countless times, maybe even episodes that you can recite the lines by heart. In other words, you're returning to a place of familiarity in a world that no longer seems familiar. So you may be asking, what does losing a spouse unexpectedly and grieving have to do with Space 1999 and City Skylines? Well, for me, Space 1999 was a childhood favorite. Interestingly, this little British sci-fi show from the mid-70s would later come to have a more significant part in my life. I'll save all of that for a future video, but we can say the impact has been about 99% positive and 1% negative. City Skylines has come to play a role in my more current life, thanks to a British YouTuber by the name of Biffa. Now, my husband sometimes sat with me watching episodes of Space 1999. He also often came and looked in on my city building progress. He laughed at horrible attempts at building a money-making turnpike in an early city build. And rightly so. That darn thing ended up with such a steep incline where I tried to route it around a mountain. In reality, there probably wouldn't be many vehicles that could get up that steep incline. And my husband just shook his head when I proudly showed him cows that were mooing in my first little farm in a city build. And yes, he laughed his butt off at the Space 1999 episode, The Beta Cloud. If you know the show, you know. He didn't quite get my fascination with either Space 1999 or City Skylines. He was much more an Andy Griffith or Perry Mason type of TV viewer. And for him, his stress relief was almost 100% music, mostly guitar. But he did understand the value of stress relief. And if these were things or activities that made me smile and relax, then they were good. Now, if you've been to my channel before, you may have seen that I began working on a tribute city to my dear husband. I wanted to create a place that he would actually consider living in, if it was reality. And I wanted to include items that meant something to him and to us as a couple, as a husband and wife. And while there were Star Trek items available, as well as music and farm items, last time I checked, there were no items related to Space 1999 available for a City Skylines build. Now, sadly, my city save ended up being corrupted, and I've also had to deal with some computer issues. I think it's possibly from a corrupted Windows update. So I've been working on saving files and getting my poor little laptop ready for a factory reinstall. And then I will begin working again on a new city build in honor of the memory of my husband. Okay, from here on out, I'm probably going to refer to the original version of City Skylines as Cities 1 and the new version Cities 2, just because it's a tongue twister. So if you're familiar with the original City Skylines, you may be asking, why haven't I moved to Cities 2? And my answer is that at this time, I'm not sure if my laptop will handle the new version. And while I really want to have a go at Cities 2, there is also the fact that it seems to be a game that's just not at the point where I want to purchase it. It's become fairly clear that the new version was released too early, before it was really ready. And of course, cost is a factor. Right now, as a widow, I have a budget that I need to strictly adhere to, something that many grieving spouses can probably relate to. So for now, I'll just keep an eye out on my favorite cities YouTubers. I will keep moving forward with my budget and this crazy life, and later on, I'll get Cities 2. It would be like keeping a tradition. I didn't find Cities 1 until it had existed for quite a number of years. So being late to the party, as it were, will be just fine with me. So all of this brings me to the item that I would love to add to my wish list of assets for City Skylines, and that would be the Eagle from Space 1999. No, it isn't the USS Enterprise or the Voyager, but the Eagle is the little ship that could, and it is much beloved by Space 1999 fans, myself included. I even had the opportunity once to meet the actor who played the Chief Eagle pilot, Nick Tate, and it makes me happy to say that his character of Alan Carter does not hold the record for crashing the most Eagles. Now, will there be an asset creator who would be willing and able to put together an Eagle, or maybe some additional Space 1999 assets for City Skylines, especially now with City Skylines 2 being out? Well, I hope so. There are quite a few players who are sticking to Cities 1 for now, due to all of the reasons I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to be slightly optimistic in the hopes that one day my city build will include an Eagle. While it would be nice if she could soar above my city, I'll even settle for an Eagle prop. That is, one that just sits wherever you plop her within your city. So there you have it, today's video topic. Some of my personal ways to deal with grief, getting through those long and lonely nights and weekends, and my asset wish for City Skylines. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and I hope that you'll consider both liking and subscribing. Doing so really does help my little channel to grow. And of course, please feel free to comment. Let me know what you've been doing to help get through the rougher moments of your grief journey. And let me know if you've ever played City Skylines or watched Space 1999. I'd love to hear from you. I've been Sissy, and I am wishing you much hope, light, and love. Until the next time, my friend, take care.